I just bought a 1986 Jeep Grand Wagoneer. Let's go check it out.
Hey Billy, can you come give me a hand for a minute? I'm gonna try and get some air. New spring's got a good bend in it. Big holes keep coming up. Well, let's try it. Yeah. There's a little bit there. Yeah, there's something wrong with the training.
What's wrong?
Oh, shoot.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's your problem.
It's got a rubber plug in it. That looks like a piece of paper in this one. It's missing a stud. Gotta do all kinds of stuff to this thing.
Whoa! You sure that's got enough bends in it?
It only has one.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. I had Brighton Springs make me some new U-bolts.
Yeah.
I'll torch them up. I will fight them.
These are going to be the rough ones.
I'll torch them too.
Wow, so that was a lot to take in. Danny has done a lot of work on this car, so let me take you through step by step what we've done so far, what we still need to do. It was listed as an undercarriage damage, and in fact that was the case. It took a pretty good hit here in the front left corner, so let's get it up in the air and show you what we got going on. So it took the main impact right here on the front left wheel, which did its damage. When the wheel got hit, it ended up taking the entire front axle and pushing it all the way back and up into the oil pan, which had other not good consequences. When the axle went back and up, it made the drive shaft go back and up, which pushed back the transfer case and cracked that sucker wide open. As you can see, it's missing big chunks out of the transfer case. So that was the first matter. Danny got a new transfer case in here. Our friend Nick at Reitman hooked us up for 500 bucks, got us a new transfer case, and Danny's got that bolted in there and ready to go. So then we looked at the axle. The whole problem with that axle going up and back is it damaged both of the leaf springs. I've got them laying here on the floor to show you. The front bolt here bent up the coil spring quite a bit. This is supposed to be straight, and as you can see, it's been up. That's the driver's side. The passenger side also took a slight bend. Back in the day, people would just heat that up with a torch and bend it back.
Yeah.
I'll torch them up. I will fight them.
But it really compromises the strength of the springs.
Everything gets torched.
Not something we were wanting to do, especially for this rebuilder. This guy is a picky one. So we ended up getting two new ones from our friends down at Brighton Spring for 499 bucks. They've got brand new bushings in them and they're good to go. So that was the right call. At the same time, they got us new U-bolts. So we just cut the old ones off because they were rusted and bent up anyway. For $10 a piece, we got 4 new U-bolts to attach the axle to the springs. So that's all installed and ready to go. The next matter of order was it was leaking coolant all over the place. So what happened when it took that hit is it jarred the radiator just a little bit, jarred the engine, fan itself, just one tiny little spot, but that was enough to do the damage. The radiator's no good. We could have got another OEM radiator, but this rebuilder wanted us to go all out. So we went to our friends at GPI Racing and got a new 4-core aluminum radiator. Danny just finished getting that installed, but it also broke the fan shroud, which you wouldn't think's a big deal, but this bad boy was $350. We've got a new one coming. It won't be here for another week or so. In the meantime, we've got 3 of the wheels ready to go with new tires. Once we get that 4th wheel back from the wheel doctor, we'll be able to get it on here. Let's get it on the ground, get it out, put some miles on it. All right, well, that was the shortest road trip ever. I didn't even make it off the lift. I had it sit here running for a couple minutes and I started smelling oil. And what I've just discovered is that the passenger side valve cover is leaking oil onto the exhaust manifold. So I'm gonna go ahead, get some valve cover gaskets ordered, get that valve cover off cleaned up, get that replaced, and I got a leak. So let's get this thing up in the air, figure out where that water's coming from. It looks like we have multiple leaks. Richard here is taking a look at it. I mean, if it's gasoline, you just test it with your tongue, right? Isn't that what we do? Oh, what was I thinking? You just get a lighter. This looks like coolant, and it smells like coolant, and it tastes like coolant. That's coolant. And it's coming from what looks like the water pump. What's the leak back here? Coming literally out of the bell house. And it tastes like coolant too.
Unless it's leaking up by the intake and running down the gully, leaking out the front and the back.
Ah,
Running down the
you're a
gully.
smart man. All right, let's check that. All right, so what Richard's saying is we probably have a leak that's up in the valley of the engine, and that's why we're getting coolant down the front of the engine and down through the bell housing. It's filled up the valley of the engine with coolant and coming out the front and back. So we're gonna test his theory.
Right here, Matt.
Oh yeah, that thing's full of coolant. Yep, there it is, pouring out. Richard, I don't know how much you make, but it's not enough. And look at that. In a matter of minutes, he's able to boom, 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 figure it out. All right, so sounds like we need a set of valve covers and we need a thermostat gasket. So let's get them ordered and then hopefully take two will work a little better. I don't know if I should be happy or if I should be worried. So is it coming apart or going together?
Going together.
Look at you, moving right along. So were you able to see where the old one was screwed up?
It wasn't on there.
Oh, nice. They just had RTV on it. How do you have such a nice car and you do such a silly hillbilly repair? So this is what it's supposed to have, a actual valve cover gasket. And the previous mechanic had just taken some silicone, stuck it all around the thing. Looks like he's already got the passenger side going back together. He's still got the driver's side apart.
It's this sensor right here.
So the coolant leak.
It's coming out the back side of that sensor.
All right, it's not the gasket between the gooseneck and the intake manifold. Instead, it's...
I just put that gasket in the new thermostat in here.
And that's the part that we had to order online. We couldn't get locally.
No, we're getting it local.
Oh, nice. Nice. All right, so you might even be able to do that today then.
Yeah.
All right, he's moving along. See how it goes. So things are moving along. I think we're gonna finally get to take it out on the road. We'll see. Danny got the new sensor installed on the thermostat housing. So that, in theory, has fixed our coolant leak. We've also replaced both the valve covers, which should have fixed the oil leaks. So I'm gonna start it up, let it run for a little bit, make sure we're not leaking any fluids. And if so, take it out of the building. You gotta like it when it actually starts. Look at that, looks all nice and dry in there. I don't have a stream running off the side of that thermostat housing any longer. No oil coming out from the valve cover gasket anymore. The side of the cylinder head looks nice and dry. So I think we're looking good. I'm gonna go ahead and take it out on the road. Next stop, the body shop. What did you do? I can see you're sanding there. I can see you've already pulled those dents, that's good. You've got this clear coat off of here. Are you only gonna do the top part of this quarter? No. All right, well, it sounds like this isn't gonna completely spin out of control. We might get this thing done in a reasonable amount of time and maybe even within budget. So I'll leave you guys to do your wonder. Let's see what happens. I'm gonna start some shit. Oh my gosh. I shouldn't be laughing because I do feel sorry for Nate sometimes because he has to deal with me. Nate? What's going on in here?
What are you doing?
Well, I seen you took the paper off the windows. I was like, there's gotta be something special going on in here.
That wasn't me.
Oh my. So you're doing the whole quarter? Looks like you're getting ready to spray some color.
Here, soon.
You got all of this all done? It's already in primer, it's done? That's ready for color? Oh, wow, wow. So you ended up having to strip the whole front end off of it.
The customer didn't like the rust chips where rocks have hit it over the years.
So do you have to put anything on that bare metal besides primer?
Self-etching primer.
It's a different type of primer.
Yeah, you can do self-etching primer or you can do an acid etch, which we have that also.
All right. Well, it looks like it's coming along. So you're going to be painting this today, you think?
Yeah.
Love it. All right, Nate came and got me, said he's finished with the Grand Wagoneer. I want to go in and take a look at it, but he's got me a little worried because he's saying it wasn't the best job, and actually he took off. Like, he clocked out and left before I got to see the paint job. So I don't know. Let's see what the heck's going on with this thing. This whole quarter was done. Oh, it feels nice. It's dry. It's dry. Here I am touching it. I mean, that looks really good. And all of this down here, you got those dents out. Those body lines look good. You can see where it's shinier than the original paint. Maybe that's what he was concerned about. But the quality of the work there looks really good. And all this down here, that looks really nice. Look at that. No overspray on the trim, and he's got it cut in well. He's got the bumper back on. Oh, hey! I mean, that looks really good. You got the whole front end all back together. Looking good, Nate. And where he blended in this hood, you can't even tell. Now there's a bunch of spots that were already pre-existing, but that looks good. Oh, he braved it up. Hey, don't run on us. This job looks really good, man. I don't know why you were worried about it.
It's not bad.
All right. Well, I'm impressed. Time to get this thing back over to mechanical, get her wrapped up. We got it back from the body shop, back over here to the mechanical side. While she was in the body shop, we had the seat out of it, took it down to a trim and upholstery shop here in Northern Kentucky called Kelly's Auto Body and Trim. They did a great job, took the upholstery off the bottom, put in a whole new panel here in the front with 2 new side panels. So we got that in there. That's looking great. Happy with how that came out. We also had the wheel off to the wheel doctor. Fortunately, they were able to save the wheel. So you can't really tell now because it's been repaired, but you can see here where they had done some repair work, where there's some grinding on it. Obviously, they had re-primed it. They put the new tire on it for us. They balanced it. So next thing we got to do, get that installed on the truck. Then we'll get it over to Danny to start looking at those leaks.
So we didn't learn.
We got the Grand Wagoneer back in the shop. That $300 fan shroud we've been waiting on finally showed up. So we got it back in here to solve the transmission fluid leak out of that transfer case, get those radiator hoses installed on it and the fan shroud. We found something really interesting with that transfer case. When we got it from the junkyard, they had moved a little inspection plug that's on the side of it that allows you to look at the chains inside of it and see if the thing's worn out. That plug was gone, and it's way up here on the side of the thing. So with the plug out, it was just spewing fluid all over the place. Fortunately, Danny's a little bit of a hoarder. Let me show you. The old transfer case was still sitting here on the floor. He was able to come down here, take that little plug out of it that was missing, install it into the one that's in the truck, put a little RTV on it to make sure that it doesn't fall out, and top it back off with fluid. So hopefully that fixes our transfer case problem. The next thing with putting the radiator hoses on, you've got to drain all the antifreeze out of the radiator. So we've got it up in the air. We're just finishing getting all the coolant out of it right now. Then he can go up in here, get this lower radiator hose put on. We'll get the truck lower down, get the upper radiator hose on. Hopefully this time we make it more than a half a mile. We can get it up to speed, make sure that the transmission's working right, let the thing get to operating temperature, and start working on that punch list. So, I've been driving the Waggy for the last several days now. Got a little vintage swagger going on, but I can't drive it anymore. The original plan was to drive it until we got all the fuel out of the fuel tank so that we could diag and look into that fuel gauge. We still do need to take a look at the gauge, but it's still got like over half a tank. The problem is the steering wheel is so far off that I don't want to be driving it anymore because I don't want to do any damage to these new tires we just put on it. So we need to get it on the rack, figure out what's going on the front end, get some parts ordered, get it aligned, then I can start driving it again. So let's get it up in the air and see what we got. We got the Grand Wagoneer back in the building because our steering parts have showed up. We got a new steering dampener and we got the new drag link that goes from the passenger side all the way over to the driver's side. So the steering dampener goes right here. It bolts on. This old one's got a couple dents in it. It's leaked out all its fluid, so we need to get that on there, get it replaced. And the center link here, it bolts into the hub on the passenger side, goes all the way over to the driver's side where it has a tie rod head that threads onto it. And as you can see, the old one's got a big bow to it, and that's why they couldn't get the thing to align out properly. So Billy's gonna get over here, get both of those installed, and at the same time, a long-awaited hubcap finally showed up. The right rear wheel has been missing a hubcap. The thing finally came in the mail, so we'll get that thing installed. Billy, get to work! It's first thing in the morning and I got Woody here in the shop to do the final couple punch list items on it. We finally got in our fuel control module, which is commonly known as just a fuel level sensor. So hopefully that fixes our erratic fuel gauge. And we got a belt molding for this driver's door window. It was dry rotted up and was letting water down in there. So we just got to get this belt molding installed on there. Also, I noticed when he was pulling it in that we've got a hose hanging down here on the bottom. I just crawled under there real quick and checked it. It is the front differential vent case tube. So we're gonna get that reattached. And then hopefully, with some luck, we can get it off to detail. Let's see what happens.
That is an access hole. See that? That's a rubber gasket, man.
Ooh, it's one of them turn things. You're gonna want to see this. I've got Grandpa's keys to the Grand Wagoneer. Michael says he's all wrapped up. Looking down here, the vent tube is connected up to the differential, so that's good. We've got our belt molding on the driver's door, so that's good. Now, let's check that fuel gauge. And it's coming up, it's coming up, it's coming up. Oh, there you go. We drained most of the gas out of the thing. It has less than a quarter tank, and that's what it's showing, so life is good. I finally get to say Matt's favorite words in the English language in my crazy little world. This one, send it off to detail. Our Cowboy Cadillac is back from detail, shined up and looking good. I am glad to get this one done and get it out of here, and even more excited about getting to deliver it to our customer. So, let's go take a look at the numbers. What a fun rebuild that was with the wood grain wagon. That took me back to my youth when I was just a little boy riding around in those things. Thanks to our private collector for giving us the chance to help him on this project. Now, let's take a look at the numbers. On our 1986 Jeep Grand Wagoneer, by the time I paid all of Copart's fees, we were in it for $6,050. The transport down here from the Big Apple, 600 bucks. And that's mostly because it was out on Long Island. Once you gotta pay the tolls and get it through Manhattan, it's an extra $100, $150. The labor on this thing was high. Danny had a week of labor into it, messing around with the transfer case in and out and with the springs and the suspension work and all the radiator and everything. We had $3,475 in labor. The parts weren't too bad. We did spend another $2,500 in parts, and of course, $200 on detail. So all said and done, by the time we were done, $12,829 into the car. So for our private collector, he picked this car out on Copart. He asked me to rebuild it for him. We agreed to do it for a contribution margin of $4,000. So all said and done, he's buying the Woody wagon from us for $16,829, which is a steal. He got a really good deal on this car. He put a little effort into it. He took all the risk, but man, did it pay off. The average market price on this car is $31,750 with 120,000 miles on it. That is really low miles for that car. That brings it to a 52.6% of market. Talk about a good deal. Fun rebuild for us, and our customer ultimately got a really good price. So that brings us to the end of the video. But before we go, I wanted to say thank you all. We reached 30,000 subscribers this week, and that means a lot to us. We got a lot of time and effort into these videos. So I just wanted to say thank you, and I'm glad you like the content. That said, I'm Matt Ryan, and this was another episode of NKY Auto.